Growing older brings wisdom, but it can also bring unexpected challenges like feeling invisible to those you love most. If your children no longer respect you or seem to ignore your presence, the pain can feel unbearable. You're not alone in this struggle, and there is a way to reclaim your peace without losing dignity. Today, we'll explore rare, powerful strategies to help you navigate this delicate situation with grace. These insights aren't just advice, they're tools to transform your relationships and protect your emotional well-being. Stay with me, this could change everything. 1. Understand the why behind their behavior. Before reacting, pause to reflect. Adult children often pull away due to unresolved family dynamics, stress, or their own insecurities. Rarely is it about you personally. Studies show that generational gaps in communication styles, for example, digital versus face-to-face, can fuel misunderstandings. Dig deeper. Are they overwhelmed? Did past conflicts go unaddressed? Compassion starts with curiosity. When an adult child withdraws, the immediate reaction might be panic, frustration, or self-blame. However, stepping back to analyze the root cause is crucial. Many adult children distance themselves not out of malice, but because of internal struggles, financial stress, relationship issues, career dissatisfaction, or even mental health challenges like anxiety or depression. The shift from dependence to independence can also create friction, as they may associate their parents with childhood authority rather than seeing them as equals. Unresolved family history often plays a role. If past arguments were left unresolved, or if there were patterns of criticism or control, an adult child might distance themselves as a form of self-protection. They may not even fully understand why they're pulling away. It's often an unconscious reaction rather than a deliberate choice. Generational communication differences further complicate things. Older generations tend to value direct, face-to-face conversations, while younger adults often rely on digital communication, text, social media, or brief calls. This mismatch can lead to misinterpretations. A parent might see a lack of phone calls as neglect, while the adult child assumes quick check-ins via text are enough. Instead of assuming the worst, approach the situation with curiosity. Ask yourself, have they been under unusual stress lately? Were there past conflicts that were never properly resolved? Could they be struggling with something they haven't shared? Compassion begins when you shift from taking their behavior personally to understanding the possible reasons behind it. This doesn't mean excusing disrespect, but it does mean giving them and yourself the space to see the bigger picture. 2. Rebuild respect through boundaries, not pleading. Respect isn't begged for, it's earned by modeling self-worth. Set clear, calm boundaries. I'd love to talk when you're ready to listen. Avoid guilt tripping. Instead, focus on mutual respect. Psychologists note that children often subconsciously mirror parental behavior. By prioritizing your dignity, you invite them to reconsider their actions. Many parents, when faced with an adult child's indifference or disrespect, fall into the trap of pleading for attention. They may send long, emotional messages, make repeated calls, or even resort to guilt. After all I've done for you. Unfortunately, these tactics often backfire, reinforcing the child's resistance. Respect is a two-way street, and it begins with self-respect. If you allow yourself to be treated poorly without consequence, you inadvertently teach your child that this behavior is acceptable. Instead, establish firm but calm boundaries. For example, I care about our relationship, but I won't engage in conversations where I'm being dismissed. When you're ready to talk respectfully, I'll be here. The key is consistency. If they ignore you, don't chase them. If they speak to you harshly, disengage. This isn't about punishment. It's about demonstrating that your time and emotions have value. Psychologists have observed that adult children often subconsciously replicate the dynamics they grew up with. If you previously allowed disrespect, whether from them or others, they may have learned that it's an acceptable way to interact. By shifting the dynamic, showing that you won't tolerate being treated poorly, you force them to reassess their behavior. This approach requires patience. They may test your boundaries at first, expecting you to revert to old patterns. But if you remain steady, they'll either adjust their behavior or reveal that they're not yet ready for a mature relationship, which is valuable information in itself. 3. Revive connection with shared memory activities. Rekindle bonds subtly by engaging in activities tied to positive memories. Did you cook together? Share old photos. A 2023 study found nostalgia activates empathy in the brain. Invite them for a recipe they loved as kids or watch a film from their childhood. These cues can soften defenses and reopen emotional channels. When communication feels strained, words alone may not be enough to bridge the gap. Shared experiences, especially those tied to positive memories, can bypass resistance and remind your child of the connection you once had. Nostalgia has a powerful psychological effect. It triggers warmth, comfort, and often a willingness to reconnect. Think back to activities they enjoyed when they were younger. Did you have a favorite family meal? Invite them over to cook it together. Was there a movie or TV show they loved? Suggest rewatching it. Did you take annual trips or have holiday traditions? Reference those moments casually. The goal isn't to force a conversation about your relationship, but to create a neutral, enjoyable interaction that reminds them of the bond you share. For example, sending a simple text like, "I was making your favorite lasagna today and remembered how you used to help me layer the noodles. Want to join me next time?" can be more effective than an emotional appeal. Research supports this approach. A 2023 study published in Social Cognitive and Affective Neuroscience found that nostalgia activates brain regions associated with empathy and emotional processing. When people reminisce about positive shared experiences, they become more open to reconnecting. This method works best when it feels organic, not like a manipulation. The less pressure you put on the interaction, the more likely they are to respond positively. 4. Master the silent strength technique. Silence speaks louder than confrontation. When ignored, respond with calm silence instead of anger. This isn't passive, it's strategic. Emotional detachment protects your energy and forces reflection. Buddhist teachings emphasize that silence can be a mirror for others to see their own behavior. One of the hardest but most effective strategies when dealing with an indifferent adult child is the power of silence. Most people instinctively react to being ignored with more attempts at contact calls, texts, or emotional confrontations. However, this often reinforces the dynamic, making you seem desperate and giving them all the power. Silence, when used intentionally, shifts that balance. Instead of chasing them, you step back. This does two things. Protects your emotional energy. Constantly reaching out only to be ignored is draining. Silence allows you to regain control over your own well-being. Create space for reflection. When you stop filling the silence, they're left with the reality of their actions or lack thereof. This isn't about giving them the cold shoulder out of anger. It's about choosing not to engage in a one-sided dynamic. For example, if they leave your messages on read, don't send follow-ups. If they cancel plans last minute, don't immediately reschedule. If they speak disrespectfully, calmly end the conversation. Buddhist philosophy teaches that silence can act as a mirror. When you stop reacting, the other person is forced to confront their own behavior. Without your emotional responses to fill the void, they may start to question why the distance exists. This approach requires patience. They may initially interpret your silence as surrender or indifference. But over time, if they value the relationship, they'll feel the absence and may be more inclined to reach out on their own terms. 5. Create a second family of support. The ache of an empty nest can feel overwhelming, like a silence so loud it drowns out everything else. But what if this space could be filled with new connections, new purpose, and a renewed sense of belonging? Building a second family doesn't replace the love you have for your children, but it does create a safety net of support that reminds you, your life is still rich with possibility. Start small. A local gardening club isn't just about roses and pruning, it's about shared dirt under fingernails, laughter over stubborn weeds, and the quiet understanding that grows between people who nurture things together. Or maybe it's a book circle where the stories you discuss become mirrors for your own experiences, and the debates over fictional characters reveal unexpected camaraderie. These groups aren't distractions, they're lifelines. Volunteering shifts the focus from what you've lost to what you can give. A mentorship program pairs your hard-earned wisdom with someone who genuinely needs it. Suddenly, you're not just a parent waiting for a call. You're a guide, a confidant, an irreplaceable part of someone else's journey. Research from Harvard confirms what our hearts already know. Those with strong social ties report 30% higher life satisfaction. The math is simple: more connections equal more joy. And here's the secret no one tells you. Your value was never defined by your children's attention. It's woven into the way you show up for others, the curiosity you bring to new friendships, the courage it takes to say, "I'd like to join you." Your world doesn't shrink when kids leave, it expands if you let it. So bake cookies for the neighborhood potluck, attend that community theater audition, say yes even when it feels awkward. These people won't replace your family, but they'll remind you that belonging is a verb, something you do, not just something you wait for. 6. Leverage technology to bridge the gap. The phone screen stays dark. The notifications don't come. It's easy to spiral into silence, but technology, when used with intention, can be a bridge instead of a barrier. The key: remove the pressure. A heartfelt "saw this and thought of you" text with a funny meme or a sunset photo takes seconds to send but lingers in their mind for hours. No guilt, no expectations, just a gentle reminder. You're here and you're thinking of them. Voice notes are your secret weapon. There's something intimate about hearing a loved one's laughter or the way their voice softens when they say, "Miss you." Keep them short, a story about the dog's antics or a song that reminded you of them. These audio snippets are less intrusive than a call, but more personal than a text. They're like emotional postcards, little pieces of home they can open when they're ready. For deeper connection, try apps like Marco Polo. Record a video journal of your day, rambling about the crossword puzzle you aced or showing off your new recipe. They can watch it on their time without the weight of real-time conversation. It's the modern equivalent of leaving a letter on their pillow, no urgency required. And remember, tech isn't just about communication, it's about shared experiences. Sync up for a Netflix watch party, play words with friends, or send a Spotify playlist with the title, "Songs That Remind Me of You." These tiny interactions accumulate into a sense of closeness, even across miles. The goal isn't to demand their time, it's to whisper, "I'm here," without drowning out their life. 7. Practice reverse mentorship. Power dynamics shift when you hand your child the reins. Ask for their help with something they know well: setting up your smartphone, troubleshooting the TV, or picking the right workout earbuds. Suddenly, they're not the kid being nagged. They're the expert, the teacher, the one who gets to say, "Here, let me show you." This isn't just about tech. Maybe they introduce you to a new artist, explain a trending slang term, or teach you the rules of a video game they love. These moments are neutral ground, no emotional landmines, just mutual curiosity. And beneath the surface, something profound happens. They see you as someone who respects their world, not just critiques it. Reverse mentorship also chips away at pride. It's vulnerable to admit, "I don't know how to do this." But that vulnerability is a gift. It shows them that growth doesn't stop at 50, 60, or 70. You're modeling how to be a lifelong learner, and in doing so, you're giving them permission to ask for help too. The bonus: these interactions create inside jokes and shared memories. That time you accidentally liked a decade-old photo while they were teaching you Instagram. It's now a running gag. The way they rolled their eyes when you asked if Riz was a typo, a story they'll tell their friends. These are the threads that weave a new kind of bond, one built on collaboration, not control. 8. Embrace radical acceptance. There's a fork in the road when efforts feel fruitless. Keep knocking on a door that won't open, or turn toward the path still available to you. Radical acceptance isn't surrender, it's the audacity to say, "I deserve peace even if this never changes." The Stoic philosopher Epictetus wrote, "Happiness begins with letting go of what's beyond your power." Your child's choices, their responsiveness, their capacity to meet you halfway, these are not yours to dictate, but your mindset, your hobbies, the way you greet each morning, that's your domain. Redirect the energy you've poured into worry into passion instead. Sign up for that watercolor class and let the brushstrokes quiet your mind. Plan the solo trip you've always postponed, not as an escape, but as a declaration that your joy isn't contingent on anyone else. Join a language app and let Italian verbs or Japanese kanji fill the spaces where regrets used to live. Radical acceptance also means grieving. Let yourself ache. Write the letter you'll never send. Scream into a pillow. Then decide, will this pain be the end of your story or the soil for something new? The truth is, some relationships heal with time. Others don't. But you're still here. And the world is still wide with possibility if you're brave enough to walk into it. Conclusion. Aging is a journey of resilience. Even if your children don't yet see your value, remember, your worth isn't negotiable. By staying calm, setting boundaries, and nurturing your own life, you model the strength they may one day aspire to. You've raised them, now it's time to raise yourself to new heights. Thank you and call to action. Thank you for spending this time with me. Your presence here shows your commitment to growth, and that's something to cherish. If this resonated, consider subscribing to the channel for more insights on thriving in every season of life. You're not alone, let's walk this path together. Until next time, choose peace and keep shining.